Hello and welcome. As you can probably tell from the title of this video, we will be looking at my Rubbertoe Replicas 11th and 12th Doctor's sonic screwdriver. Now, some of you may be thinking, hang on, you've already made a video on this. And you'd be right, I made that particular video 5 years ago this month in December 2016. However, this year is my 10th anniversary on YouTube, as I started way back in 2011. Which doesn't feel that long ago, but apparently it's been a decade. But recently I finally hit 1,000 subscribers, so I wanted to do something to celebrate. The first thing that came to my mind was to revisit one of my most popular videos and do a sort of update video showing the condition of the Sonic 5 years down the line from its creation in 2016. We'll start, however, just beforehand in October of 2015, which is when me and my granddad made a few stainless steel classic Sonic screwdrivers. These weren't anything extravagant accuracy-wise and were based on the Character Options toy, but they were definitely a good starting point. Skipping forward to February 2016, I got in touch with Robatto on Instagram. Not really expecting anything, but I just wanted to say that I liked his work. He replied, and then we got chatting about the fact that I was looking to make a career out of doing props, and after a few more messages, he offered to give me some work experience. Which was actually amazing timing, as I needed to do a week's worth of work experience as part of my engineering college course, and so we arranged for me to come over on the first week of April. April rolls around, and me and my mother venture out on a road trip to the land of Gavin and Stacey. More specifically, Barry in Wales, which is where Rubbertoe Replicas is based. I turned up bright and early to the workshop, and after meeting Nick Robatto for the first time, I got started learning how to do moulding and casting with Rubbertoe's apprentice. I won't be revealing his identity, but he is very lovely and talented. We started by doing 20 Gallifreyan cold cast coasters and followed this up by doing 10 Siege Mode TARDIS cubes. The Siege Mode TARDIS casting process was especially interesting as it required a revolving mould, which was extra cool as it meant I got to use the Rubbertoe lathe. Which doesn't sound that important, but this was the machine responsible for making a large amount of all the screen-used props that have been made. So, to a nerd like me that adores the behind-the-scenes information, this was like touching a holy relic. After the casting came the ink washing, and I think airbrushing, but my memory is a little fuzzy around this. I know for certain that I gave the Siege cubes a blue ink wash, but I think I'm remembering some of the coasters had been given a red airbrushed finish to resemble the red and gold of the Gallifreyan guard armour. Then came the wire wool and a lot of buffing. This was actually a slightly painful process as the glove I was using developed a small hole on the point I was holding the wire wool due to the friction. This meant my bare skin on my thumb was exposed to the harsh wire wool, so as I was buffing away the ink, I was also buffing away a part of my hand. It was very sore by the end of the day. However, Nick came and joined me as I did this, and we began doing the resin work for the version 1 Rubbertoe sonic screwdrivers he was making at the time. So, to distract myself from my ever-deteriorating thumb, I began to ask him as many questions as I could. After that, we moved into the main workshop. This is where we started working on the sonic screwdrivers. We first looked at upgrading a 12th Doctor sonic screwdriver I had made. This was prior to the Character Options toy coming out and was a half 3D printed, half metal hybrid prop. That prop actually featured briefly on the official Doctor Who fan show in the video where they discussed the new sonic screwdriver.
And I'm not the only one who's been busy making their own Sonic. James made this brilliant replica from brass, stainless steel and 3D printed elements.
But anyway, back to the point, Nick helped me by giving me some replacements for the 3D printed parts, and I think I have a few of them still kicking about somewhere, so if I find them they will be on screen now. Now, finally, on to the main course. We're about to look at the actual topic of this video, the Rubbertoe Replicas 11th and 12th Doctor sonic screwdriver. So, well done to those of you who sat through the first half and listened to a backstory none of you asked for, and hello again to the people who have skipped to this point to actually see the screwdriver. So, welcome back, it's nice to see you, please do stick around. But anyway, everyone buckle up, sit down, here we go, the actual point of the video. Nick brought out a toolbox of rejected parts, and we selected a few of the more acceptable specimens. Each had varying degrees of imperfection. Mostly they were dented during production, but there were a few other issues as you'll soon see. After receiving the parts, I started to put them together. Here is a series of photos showing me assembling the prop in the workshop. Now to look at the prop itself. Starting from the emitter down, my original V1 emitter had a slight casting defect, but was nice enough. It also needed to have the grub screw added to secure the emitter to the internal brass tube, but I've never gotten around to doing this. Next we have the claws. Both these and the claw holding section, as far as I can remember, had sat in a cleaning liquid for too long and had rusted over, so I had to sand them down and clean them back up. However, they were left pitted and scarred by the rust, as you can see. Moving down again, we have the resin internal cores. The first thinner one was considered too plain, I think, but is fine otherwise, and the next two were actually good quality ones that he said I could have instead of the imperfect ones. The knurled cage section is decent besides one chipped indent on this knurled strut, and as far as I can tell, the issue with the copper struts is that the holes are slightly off, a little bit too low down, or not centered properly, etc. And they're also a bit loose. The brass rivets aren't totally secure and can be pulled out. Below this, the next copper section has a few dents and bumps, the most noticeable being this deep one here. After this, we move on to the lever handle. Now, originally I had a different handle, which didn't sit properly due to having warped when the lever was added. However, at the time I was there, they were assembling the shark-eaten sonic screwdrivers based on the prop seen in the 2010 Christmas special, A Christmas Carol. Rubbertoe's apprentice was nice enough to swap me one of the decent ones he had, so this handle is actually undamaged. Nick was also kind enough to let me take an extra set of spare reject parts to make my own shark-eaten Sonic after I'd expressed interest, which I completed for the 10th anniversary of the episode last Christmas. Again, a bit of a slow burner project. The lower half is pretty good as well. The resin section is nice, but has yellowed over the years, and the copper section seems to be fine, but over time the ring has started to oxidise and every so often a green patina develops on it. The only really noticeable thing is the top of the end cap, which hasn't been faced off and is a rough cut. It also got dented on the very end of the end cap after being dropped by someone at a convention. That's it for the external details. Moving inside the prop, we really only have the brass core, and as you can probably see, the reason for the internal brass tube being rejected was because it was crushed in a vice at one point, which kind of ruined the aesthetic value. Another noticeable thing is that there are no electronics. A few attempts have been made, and at one point in the summer of 2016 a friend of mine did manage to install the internals of a character options toy into it. However, these ended up getting damaged at a convention, and it was removed. That's twice now a convention has wrecked this Sonic. Later on, my original emitter was slightly dented after regrettably ending up in the mouth of a dog called Mavis. This was when we were working on the Rubbertoe Replicas 4th Doctor Sonic screwdrivers. It was at this point I mentioned to Nick about the savage dog attack on my emitter, and he very kindly offered me one of his new emitters. As these were a different design to the original V1 emitters he had done, they don't currently fit onto my Sonic screwdriver, as I still need to add the grub screw to hold them on, so at the moment it's super glued. So there you have it, a look at the Sonic screwdriver that has been lovingly nicknamed the Rubbertoe Reject Sonic Screwdriver. It's unique in many ways. Obviously it more closely resembles the V1 Rubbertoe Sonics, which were based on the Series 7 to 9 screwdrivers. However, it doesn't have an official number, and isn't part of the run that were made. And as we've discussed, the handle is from the limited Shark-Eaten Sonic release, and the emitter is from the Rubbertoe V2 Sonics, which by accident makes this a strange hybrid of every Rubbertoe 11th Doctor Sonic release. Moving forward from here though, I've set in motion the beginnings of a project to repair the screwdriver. I'm aiming to do a follow-up video to this at some point, documenting the Sonic after it's been restored. It really shouldn't have taken half a decade to get around to this, but it's good to finally be able to sort it out. But anyway, that's the end of the video, so thank you for watching as always, and thank you again for 1,000 subscribers. It genuinely means the world to me to have reached this milestone, because, I mean, out of all the social medias, I definitely started on YouTube first, 10 years ago, as I've said. So the concept of, I used to be amazed when I had 60 subscribers, so the concept of having 1,000 is mind-boggling, and it's amazing, so thank you very much. Genuinely, it is so cool. I'd also like to give a shout out to Nick Robatto, of course, because this video wouldn't be possible without him. So thank you very much for all you've done for me, and you know, you're a legend. It's brilliant. And I'd also like to say, on the continuation of the shout out to Nick, he is going to be competing as of the time of this recording. He's going to be competing on the 2nd of January 2022 on Channel 4 on a program called The Great Pottery Throwdown, I think it is. So it's being run by the people who do the Great British Bake Off, and it's sort of in that vein. But effectively, I'll be putting all the links down below to Nick's social medias, because he's got his props one, and then he's also got this new one, which is Nick Robatto Ceramics, which he's doing his pottery work on. And they're actually really nice, so I'm hoping he does like a Sonic pot at some point, like the one from Series 10. But currently there was this one with a wooden lid, which will be on screen now, which was just gorgeous. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how he does on that show, and I wish him all the best with it. After that as well, I just want to say that I'm hoping to put out more regular content throughout the next year. I mean, I always say that at the end of my videos, but this time I'm really meaning it, I promise. I've got a few videos lined up, so I'm looking at doing one about the psychic paper, for instance, and the vortex manipulator has been an ongoing one, but new information keeps coming out about them all the time when I'm researching them, so it's a bit hard to, it's like trying to hit a moving target with actually pinpointing that one down, because literally like last week I found out something new about it and there's been new developments, so keep your eyes peeled for those when I can finally get them sorted, but it's just a case of finding the time to edit everything with how busy I've been recently. But again, anyway, this, you can probably tell this bit's gone off script, so we'll rein it back in, and I will just say thank you again for watching. It means the world, and I will see you when I see you. Stay safe as always, and yeah, goodbye.